Okay, so howdy guys. It is a lovely Sunday morning, and I just wanted to talk to you about Intel and what happened on Friday with the US government taking a 9.9, so let's just say 10% stake in the company for $20.50 a share in non-voting shares. So the U.S. government does not become a voting member on the board of Intel. Just a reminder, Intel is a semiconductor with US-based operations. They're a chip maker and are valued around, I think it was $90 billion, $100 billion, somewhere in between there, according to current valuations as of the Friday close. But Intel's been having some problems lately over the last couple years. Project cycles, project innovations, competitors that have much better products, much better pricing, much better uh, gross margins, much better cost evaluation in how they produce the product, where they produce it, what sort of materials they produce it with, how much their product costs. I mean, for all sakes and purposes, Intel does make good chips. The problem is the scale that they produce them at and how they produce them within their foundries is nowhere within peer of their other competitors, such as TSM or AMD. And if you think about it, though, like at one point, Intel was the blue chip company in the United States. I mean, they did so much chip manufacturing that went into the early dot-com boom with PCs in the late 1990s and 2000s. And now they're just, I'm not going to say they're second rate, but that is, yeah, that's the way it can be painted. But on Friday, like I said, the US government took a stake in the company. So the problem for Intel is that they need customers. This $10 billion stake might actually get them some because the US government might actually become one of their customers, either the US military or some other company that has some sort of connections to the US government or the current administration for that matter. This investment, though, and I need to stress this, is not new money. During the Biden administration, there was something called the Chips and Sciences Act that divvied up money, I think it was around $70 billion, something like this, to major chip manufacturers to uh, build new plants in the United States and do innovation right in, well, the US. This money that was then allocated to Intel has now been reallocated to buy diluted shares within the company. So this 10% stake in $8.9 billion is nothing new. And it also creates new shares within the company for the US government. Now, this was already being talked about some, uh, what, 10, 15 days ago, and it didn't become official till Friday. But also, there was another big investment for Intel earlier in the week, which was the Japanese bank SoftBank took a $2 billion stake as well at a price of 23. So the question is why? Why did the administration do this? Well, My thoughts on it are national security. Uh, they need to, as fast as possible, source a chip maker into having a permanent base that is nowhere outside of the United States in the United States, if that makes sense. Uh, in fact, now I think Intel, because of this move, has become too big to fail. The US government cannot allow this company to go bankrupt because it is now strategically linked to the national security of the company. What's unclear is what Intel gets in return for this US government stake. Is it just more network connections as so far as sales go? Is it, I don't know, the US government as a client? I mean, the CHIPS Act was free money. This dilution is not free money. It comes with some sort of strings attached. Something like there's going to be some sort of play here. In fact, if you think about it, the US taxpayer has now become an owner, a stake owner, although he doesn't have necessarily voting rights within Intel. So what the heck, guys? If you're a US citizen, you now own some piece of this to the tune of $10 billion. But if you think about it, like what the US government has GDP of if way over 20 billion and then 3 billion working. Uh, yeah, it's not that huge a stake if I just do the math in my mind, but still, they own 10% of the company. Yeah. Other questions. Can the US government dump these shares if Intel, well, makes them angry, does something they don't like? As so far as I'm concerned, the answer is yes. I mean, they don't hold a board seat. They aren't an insider in the actual process of what's going on in the company. The US government can threaten, hey, if you don't want to see your stock price go down to these kind of levels that were going on in April of this year to like $17, then you need to listen to us, or we're going to start trash talking and send your stock diving off a cliff. That wouldn't be a very pretty thing, but this administration is known for that sort of thing, to trash talk a company and say, hey, we're going to punish you if you don't actually listen to what we say, or maybe if we try to nudge you in a certain direction and you don't want to be nudged in that direction, this is a really good cudgel. You get the carrot and you get the stick, and then maybe you get told that your CEO is a Chinese spy. I don't know. It just could be. I mean, the CEO is not a Chinese spy. Well, I don't know if the CEO is a Chinese spy. He's not even a Chinese citizen, technically, since I think he's Malaysian born and has been in the US for a really, really long time. So, what exactly is this all about? Well, we're going to find out come Monday morning. I have absolutely no clue which way the stock will go. But if I look let's just go here to the 15-minute and scan in on that. So the stock basically went from 23 to closed, what was it? 24.80 and got to like highs of like 25. So there was, what is this? There was a 6%, 7% run in the stock at points. And then at the end of the day, once the total details came out, it just started ascending until what the after hours close. So I don't know what's going to happen on Monday, but it's going to get interesting. The volatility, which is the thing that I love to play within weeklies, has shot up a bit. So if I look at probability, that doesn't look too bad. If I look at the delta, I usually like to invest in, well, delta between 15 and 20 is usually quite safe. And that's already trading at, uh, what is this, 1.5% roundabouts since the Friday. And I think the volatility will kick up even more come Monday morning when this thing opens up. And I mean, it's already at point 0.6 down here. Uh, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting day. Can't wait, can't wait. Anyway, thanks for joining me on talking about this. Like, subscribe, drop a comment. Not trying to offer financial advice or anything like that. Just trying to educate you guys and say what I'm interested in. Maybe you're interested in it also. But this is going to be uh, maybe not a nightmare, but it's definitely some kind of new track that the U.S. government is taking on. I remember, when was it? I remember learning about in history class that Truman actually took over, what was it, the coal mines in 47 or 48 after coal miners went on strike. And that was considered some sort of radical form of capitalism. But this is like completely different. Like, when was the last time the US government actually took a stake in the form of shares and, well, more or less created a bottom for the actual stock and the actual company, which I don't see a stock going any lower anymore than 2050 now because of the huge stake that the US government has taken. And if it did take a stake at 2050, then they're already up like over what, the 10%, 20%. So they've made the profit and then some. Like, good on them, but still, like, is it really the government's job to pick winners and losers in this manner? I thought that, like, rah rah capitalism and all that, but obviously I was wrong. We got some really weird times that are gonna go ahead now, but enjoy. Uh, you are on the road to, I guess, some new form of capitalism. Talk to you later, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.